I'm building this for a church that has been using gears from 2 decades ago. They asked for an upgrade, and I suggested this. My question is, can XFX3 Mark II Turbo handle a bend? Let's find out. But this is the signal path that I programmed specifically for Here in Heaven cover. Somewhere along the video you might already have watched. So there's 3 signal paths. So number 1 is the lead guitar that's playing the line just now. The second one is the rhythm guitar, specifically tuned for a telly sounds. Number 3 is bass sound. So we'll go over each one by one. So before we start, let's look at the CPU right here. It's actually peaking a little bit. It's a bit dangerous, but during the course of recording that video and even now, there's been no problem whatsoever. I've experienced CPU lag in FM3. It just stops working. There's no sounds coming out, but so far I've used it. There's been no problem whatsoever, so it can safely handle 3 instruments, no issue. Second thing to note is that I initially thought that we're gonna have 2 amp and 2 cap, but actually only the cap is stereo in this case. So there's 2 caps actually, 2 cap here as well, but amp there's only 1. So after the amp only enters a stereo section, the amp alone is mono. So in the first input we have pitch. So actually this is like an octaver. It just gives you that churchy lead line that is thick and cuts through very well. So here's how it sounds. Let's do a bypass and see how the entire rig is supposed to sound. So let's go through the amp first. The amp is actually a Plexi 50 watts. So I always use Plexi as a main lead distorted amp for all intents and purposes. I can use it in a church song, and I can use it in any kind of instrumentals I want. And it will sound cut through, it will sound perfectly in place. Just note that all these patches, I didn't really alter any settings, I just put them in. They just sound great out of the box. Okay, so the drive is actually just a boost pedal. And you can see here it's called AIS boost, but I guess it's just a MOSFET style clean boost. So you can see that my drive is all the way 0, my tone is a bit on the treble side, and I push up my mix and my level all the way. So this is how I usually use my drive clean boost pedals. Drive all the way 0, level all the way up. That's how I use my clean boost and all my overdrive pedals. So without it, it sounds like this. Actually, the amp itself is like a crunchy sound, but if you turn down the volume, it's a beautiful clean tones, albeit a little bit noisy. We turn on the drive, here's how. So as you can see, it sounds just like the amp, just a bit more gain and a bit louder. So that's how I always use my drive pedals. The delay is just a stereo mind guy, which I think is the memory man. That's the name it intends to be. So it's like a tape delay, I guess. And it's stereo, so it ping pongs left and right. The reverb is called cumulonimbus. All I know is the difficult name reverb. They're all supposed to mimic some kind of ambient reverb. So I'm looking for like a big sky cloud reverb, and this one sounds not close, but this sounds great. And my mix is actually very, very low because I don't want it to clutter my main lead line. I want the lead line to come out. The reverb and the delay is just for texture. The cap, one side is 9060A, another one is a Brown Super. I'm not really familiar with cap type. I know there's Celestion, Greenback, Blueback, but this one is 9060A and Brown. So I think they are both some kind of a Marshall cap. I think this one is a 9060 cap. Brown supposed to mean Eddie Van Halen, so I've just put it in. And then right here, output to output 1. To note that even though the amp is not stereo, but the whole signal chain is still stereo. Because there's stereo cap, the guitar is not dead in the center, but it sounds like this. It's not like this, it's like this. And then the ping pong delay just adds some texture. Alright, moving on to input 2. And this one is based on a Vox style amp. There's a very specific kind of mid frequency that's producing and how the amp is responding. So we are using a Class A 15 watt, which is a Vox AC15. Right here we have same thing, similar kind of delay and reverb, but this one is like a rhythm and it's perfect for tele, but I don't have a tele right now. So I'm just gonna use mainly the second position of my guitar to reproduce the sound. So let's start off with the drive off and just hear how the amp sounds. Right. It has that beautiful high end that's shimmering, it's coming out, it's a little bit sizzling, but it sounds great, it sounds perfect. Moving on, we have the drive. So this drive is actually Different than the MOSFET boost, here we have the Klon Chiron or Chiron. It's a clone pedal. The mentality is the same. I have it slightly on the bright side. The level almost dying, but the gain I push it up a little bit because the Vox is very high headroom, so it requires a little bit of the clipping from the pedal itself. Right. So here it is, the pedal. On. Sounds great. Moving on, the delay is actually very similar, except in this case I'm using a stereo tape rather than Mind Guy. But here we have the stereo tape delay, which is set to ping pong again. Not sure if you can hear it. You can hear as the repeat goes on, there's a tape effect, which the high end gets more and more low pass the more the repeat goes on, which is a beautiful thing because it doesn't get in the way. Reverb, same thing, we are using Cumulo Nimbus. And again, the mix, I set it super low so it doesn't get in the way of the line. Instead, it provides a very good like a texture when the line goes off. And the cap, we are using a Class A 15 watts, which is the Vox cap. And another side, which is a little bit stupid, but I use a Fender cap, a Deluxe Tweed 67 DAB. I have no idea what the DAB means, but Deluxe Tweed is Fender Deluxe cap. Right, I have it pan left and right, same as the first one. Sounds great. Alright, I by no means is a bass player, but in the bass chain, actually I set to a parallel bass kind of thing. So on the wet side, we have the synth. So let's hear without the synth first. Then we can hear without the drive first. And without the EQ first. So the dry bass. Alright, with the drive on. Alright, many people doesn't know this, but the drive gives it some kind of grind, which supports the higher, the mid-range and the higher mid. It supports the texture and the rhythm side while not fighting with the electric guitarist. That's what the great of the drive we use for basses. Let's just turn on the EQ first. It just gives it back the low end presence, which the drive kind of took away. So before we go to the synth, I just want you guys to reference where we are. That this is currently where we're at. When we add the synth, it's gonna go crazy. You can hear there's so much more grit that comes out of the bass. Normally in battle or even in my church live jam, we always use synth. We always use micro synth to drive it up a notch. So like in a peak bridge, we will use that kind of micro SIM. So we can have multiple layers going up for the bass, and which sounds absolutely epic. And then it goes out to output 3, which is a mono signal. But here we go, we have stereo for output 1, stereo for output 2, and mono for output 3. So we have 5 signals. The Axe-Fx can handle all of that with the CPU peaking at, oh, it's giving me a warning signs, but it's all good. So all in all, I think it's a solid build. Managed to fly over there a few months ago to install for them. The musicians there are very happy about it and felt very good about the tone. Currently, they are only running the amps from the presets without any other effects, as they will be running their own pedals into it. So, can Axe-Fx handle a band? I would say they absolutely crushed it. What do you think? Comment below and let me know. I'll see you in the next video.